Now, I'm not going to come out and say that the XRP conspiracy theorists were right about everything. But if you thought that the red folder hadn't been vindicated, we're going to give you the clip from Brad Garlinghouse, Monica Long, and Ashish Burla commenting on Chris Larson's crazy conspiracy theories turning out to have some substance to them. And I bring out the red folder once again because this red folder represented our fight for truth and an understanding of why XRP was under attack. And if it was under such heavy attack, maybe because it was so valuable and the future value was not seen or reflected in today's price, but we needed to understand how valuable this asset could be, how valuable this ledger could be, and why we were being attacked and who we were being attacked by. Now, obviously, the SEC versus Ripple case is over, and so people expect me to put the red folder away. Some people were so offended and turned off by the red folder. We were called scammers for having conversations about putting up a defense against our government, for talking about some of these wild conspiracy theories. I mean, people really thought that we should be shut down and taken out to pasture for talking about some of these ideas. And through a most recent conversation between Brad, Monica, and Ashish Burla at the XRP conference in Australia, they directly address those wild conspiracy theories that, as you guys are now seeing for yourself, coming out in the files, it's quite a rabbit hole. And it's a rabbit hole that we were already all the way down in. We were all the way in that sucker. And we understood it very well. And we were directly over the target. But people said, oh, 50,000 buyback. I want nothing to do with this. You're a scammer. This is bad. Without taking the time to have an adult conversation, without taking the time to reason, why would we put a number and attach a number to the conversation, knowing very well that our government does have a history of confiscating assets during time of monetary reset? See, the red folder, we've been completely vindicated on all of it. I'm not going to say that the XRP conspiracy theorists were right about everything, but boy, has it paid off well to be a conspiracy theorist and to be in XRP. But I'm just going to run this clip, and as you can tell, it is so amazing and so great to hear this from Brad and even Monica too, and Ashish. And then the fact that all of these crazy conspiracy theories that were being discussed at Ripple came from Chris Larson. I'm going to run the clip. Let's get it.
I also remember, especially because I was communications and then marketing, just the absolute vitriol toward Ripple at the time.
Yeah.
And it just felt like there was this mysterious dark cloud, this headwind that we couldn't quite put a finger on. Like, where is this coming from? Like, why so much hate? And then Brad and I were exchanging notes with the Epstein files reveal of some of the
Does the Epstein files get a lot of attention down here? I agree with that. Yeah. Well, so where Monica and I both experienced, Chris Larson, co-founder of Ripple, chairman of the company, a fabulous human being, and he's a bit of a conspiracy theorist. And that's fun and interesting sometimes, and sometimes you're like, huh? But one of the things that Chris has said for a long time, to Monica's point around it, it's always felt like there's just an invisible negative force kind of attacking in various ways. And you're kind of like, what is going on? And he had always said that Joey Ito, who ran the MIT Media Lab, had something out for XRP and for Ripple. And I admit I was always kind of like, look, I don't know if that's true or not, but like we got to keep building, we got to keep going, and like focus on what we can control. And as you may know, Gary Gensler ended up as part of the MIT Media Lab. Again, connecting those dots. It's like saying Voldemort. Yeah. Anyway, so it's interesting because Chris always was a little conspiratorial about this stuff. And now that we have seen the public Epstein files, you're like, holy shit, he's kind of right. Mm-hmm. And now what's interesting about it, they were afraid of us. Mm-hmm. They were afraid of us because the technology was ahead of its time and it was a threat. And they were trying to do things to put pressure on it. And again, I don't think I totally appreciated in the earliest days how prescient some of Chris's concerns were about that stuff. But in retrospect, it was real.
Yeah, Chris used to always tell me, hey, people are hating on you. You're onto something big. And I was like, we're onto something massive. There's a lot of hate out there.
And so, as a decentralized community, you can actually reference the work that we did, and Ripple did reference the work that we did researching all of this. Right? And there's too many influencers, there's too many other members of the community that I could shout out right now that put together this collective effort, right? It wasn't just me, it wasn't just my red folder. That was how I spread the message and got the word out. And we went viral as heck with that. But it was the rest of the community, and like I said, there's too many for me to name. And it's such an honor to be able to be friends now, colleagues with some of these people in the community that actually were helping Ripple. Because, see, Ripple can now speak of this because it's all behind us. And the files are revealing it all, right? They have the smoking gun evidence is now being revealed through the files being released, obviously heavily redacted, but people can read between the lines and see what was going on. And you can see this clear effort, right, to discredit Ripple, discredit XRP. And then it really got aggressive and nasty when we came up with the committee with Jimmy Valley and the group of people that were working on this. And people were so hung up on us saying that XRP could be worth 50,000 or it could be worth 1,000. The valuation models were the big issue that people took up. But the valuation models were hypothetical scenarios for our defense. See, it wasn't for us to say, oh, we know XRP is going to be 50,000. We know XRP is going to be $1,000. It was to say in our defense that it could be. A hypothetical scenario could lead to XRP being used for, all the money, and maybe that puts XRP at $1 million, right? Maybe we're going to capture this and do this in the pipeline model, and the various. There was multiple models by scientists, biologists, people that had the credentials to be having these conversations and running through these various models, and that was done so that if they came to seize the asset and say, this is a security and we need to roll back, we need to take back all this XRP from retail XRP holders, it allowed us to put up a defense and say, hey, we know why you're attacking us. We know the potential of XRP. So yes, right now XRP is trading at 20 to 50 cents when we were going through the committee work and in the middle of the lawsuit, but we have great evidence here that this could become an asset that's worth 100, 1,000, or 10,000 bucks. So if you are going to come take it from us, you better be ready to put up one hell of a case, because we have some of the best security lawyers in the world, like Jimmy Valley and others, on our team. And remember how I always referred to Ripple's lawyers as legal assassins. And it was the decentralized community effort as a whole. Ripple couldn't speak on these things until now. Now they come out. Brad Garlinghouse, Monica, Ashish. They can sit up there and laugh about it because it's all behind us. We won. And as I've always said, let all truth be revealed. And that's all we ever wanted, was the truth to get out on these matters. It just so happened that we were right, and it just so happens that we're going to make a boatload of money in the process. Best of both worlds. So vindicating to hear this. And I just want to bring the point home, it was more than XRP's 50,000. It was putting up a defense against the government that has a precedent of taking the assets during a monetary reset and then valuing them higher. That's exactly what they did when they confiscated the gold. So you can call me a scared, crazy American. I wouldn't deny it. I would not deny it. And if, you're ready to now join us after we've been completely vindicated, after defeating the SEC, after the files reveal that, yes, there was a coordinated effort. Yes, you've seen influencers who are getting paid to FUD Ripple and XRP. That's been exposed as well, too. This coordinated effort. And I took it as even far to expose some of the other influencers, how I said, These guys won't talk about Ripple or XRP because Ripple won't cut them a check. Ripple doesn't cut us a check. Ripple doesn't pay influencers. So a lot of these guys, even though they might not openly be the XRP fudsters, haters, and bashers, they just won't mention it. They won't mention that they got their little moon bag. Well, and they build up their XRP moon bag by shilling you a bunch of crap, don't they? We exposed it all. We've been vindicated on mostly everything. I'm not going to say that the XRP conspiracy theorists have been right about everything. We're still waiting for the aliens to arrive. And the last domino that we need to see fall, and the last check on the bingo card is, will the aliens use XRP? But when the aliens do arrive and the aliens say that, yes, XRP is the intergalactic reserve currency, just like Greg Kidd said, that will be the last point that we'll be completely vindicated on. But I just want to give a quick shout out and a thank you to everybody in the community that was supporting us, supporting the community, that were part of this decentralized justice that we brought with the legal assassins at Ripple, the smart minds that they had at their company, and then the members of the community who fearlessly attacked the truth, no matter what the consequence. Look at how many XRP communities lost channels, lost their livelihood, right? Are still under attack, still trying to build up, their platforms because they simply wanted to share the truth about XRP. And you have to ask yourself, how valuable is this asset and this ledger really going to be if there's been such a big, coordinated, confirmed effort to suppress XRP? You guys let me know in the comments down below. How big is XRP going to be? What is the true valuation? We are moving towards fundamental value, but we still have a long ways to go. So if you appreciate the content that we are putting out for you, please help us out by liking this video. Don't miss any of our new content by subscribing, hitting that notification bell, and everything else is at our website, zachrector.com. Thank you, and God bless you all. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.